Okay, so my name is Fabian, as this gentleman here already announced. And I work for a company called Overwolf. We're an open apps platform for hardcore gamers for hardcore games. Here on the left, or on the right, you can see a couple of the features that we bring to the table as standard features. But I'm really here today to speak a little bit about apps in general for hardcore gamers, what they are, who makes them, who they're useful for, why you guys should be interested in it, the market, the demand for it. Maybe give you guys some ideas for what you guys can do in that space. I'm not sure if any of you have ever thought about apps for hardcore gamers or not, but maybe after this session, you will think about it a little bit. We're all familiar with apps in one form or another, mostly through phone and tablets, but it's only really been since 2008 that apps have been around, or that we use apps on a day-to-day basis. Before that, they've been used as well, but people don't really think about it that way. In a game called World of Warcraft, apps have been around since the beginning, since 2004 when the game was launched. They're generally called mods in that game, or add-ons, but they're really apps. And I made a short list of other types of apps that exist outside of phones and tablets. You see Windows apps, which I don't know where that's going, but browser apps, we're all familiar with that a little bit. Smart TV apps and car infotainment apps. Interesting because they are not really supported by a viable apps ecosystem. As we go through this presentation, we'll all see kind of why that's not really a self-sustaining market. World of Warcraft. So why World of Warcraft? Why is that here? Well, first of all, because it's a game. We're talking about games. I could have used another game. I could have talked about Minecraft. I could have talked about Skyrim. I could have talked about Half-Life, Arma 2. But World of Warcraft is the most successful game in the history of video games ever. It's been around for over 10 years now. Some of you may be World of Warcraft players or have played World of Warcraft at one point and might end up going back to the game at some point. It's a hugely successful game, and that's why I'm using it here as an example. I was wondering if I should mention this or not, but one of our board members actually launched World of Warcraft. So, but that has nothing to do with why I'm mentioning it here. It's I'm just for disclosure. I thought I'd mention it. So what are World of Warcraft apps? They're actually, like I said, UI modifications. Hence, they're also called mods. They bring in new functionality into the game using sometimes the game API or data or information that fans and have a sip of water. Fans community have generated. Sometimes it's just a change in the way the game looks like. For example, the game DayZ, it's a mod itself, the game, as you guys maybe know. The game itself is a mod, and there are other games that are also just mods, but they're known as games. So in those cases, it's more than just a simple minor UI modification. But the majority of add-ons or apps for World of Warcraft are just small add-ons, and everyone who plays World of Warcraft really uses them. There's virtually no player in World of Warcraft who doesn't use them. What makes it successful? Why is this working so well for World of Warcraft? And I'm not making the claim that World of Warcraft is the most successful game in the history of the world because it has this super awesome functioning apps ecosystem. But why is this apps ecosystem functioning so well for World of Warcraft? Well, some Harvard scholars went on and they identified 3 success factors and 3 building blocks that make for a successful apps ecosystem or apps platform. I've listed them here as the success factors: connection, gravity, flow, and the building blocks: toolbox, magnet, matchmaker. Now, World of Warcraft or Blizzard, they really only provide one of each, which is gravity and magnet. They almost sound the same already, but it's both. In both cases, it's the game itself. The other factors, or the other building blocks and success factors, They contribute to that. For example, the toolbox, they provide the open game API, but on the other hand, they don't really provide much in terms of developer tools for add-on developers. That's third-party providers who provide, some of the tools to create add-ons or documentation, guides, tutorials for how to go about creating an add-on or an app for World of Warcraft. So they don't do that. Matchmaking, that's not done by World of Warcraft or Blizzard at all. That's really all in the forums on sites like Curse or ZAM Networks. ZAM has a series of websites. Both ZAM and Curse, they offer their own software to manage your apps or your add-ons for World of Warcraft. So again, the matchmaking not done here. The flow, yeah, they provide some of that, but and connection, they provide some of that, but really connection, as the way the Harvard guys identified it, means that it's easy to use, but it's actually not really easy to use without those tools. Yeah, they provide rules and guidelines on how to go about creating apps and how that should be. And most importantly, the fact that you cannot sell those apps. So it's another interesting factor that this is so successful. It's such a vast space that is so vibrant. There's so many people who create add-ons and so many people who use them, and nobody's getting paid. The only people who are getting paid, actually, in this case, are Curse and ZAM, because they charge a premium for the tools that allow you to manage those add-ons. That's yeah. So none of the app developers get paid. So, but this is a successful concept. They have all the building blocks in place, even though they haven't produced all of them themselves. And as a result, you get like 100% participation rate among those people who play World of Warcraft. As I said, it's not a platform in itself, so that's kind of weird. Because you would think that for something to be that successful, it would be planned and it would be a design, but it's not. It wasn't really a design. It's more like a default. Things just fell into place. The game is super successful and had attracted the magnet and the gravity, which clearly are very important factors. They provided that, and the community just did the rest because they're so dedicated. Companies that work in this space, like ZAM and Curse, both are very viable businesses. Tencent acquired ZAM. Tencent is the 5th largest internet company in the world. By some estimates, they will own 10% of the total gaming market by 2016, 2017. Curse is a privately held company and has managed to raise $28 million in VC funding since 2006. So clearly, there's a lot of interest in this. There's a lot of development going on in just this market for add-ons, as we see it pertaining primarily to World of Warcraft, really, because that's the biggest market. With 10 million subscribers, over $1 billion in revenue. Now, how can we expand this, or that's where we're coming in as Overwolf? How can this be expanded? How can we make this easier? How can we create like a leveling field and make this available to every game and provide basically something like a World of Warcraft add-on system to the entire hardcore gaming space and make it easy, provide all the success factors and all the building blocks to basically have this type of fully functioning apps ecosystem for basically every game that's out there. So that's where Overwolf really comes in. Overwolf is an open apps platform. It's designed based on an overlay technology that essentially brings any kind of application into the game itself. That's kind of like our our core technology. 1 second. Our core technology. It's really easy for a gamer to acquire apps using Overwolf. On one hand, you just go to the App Store. It's not my computer, otherwise I would have shown you the app, the tool itself. But you go to the App Store, you click on it, 10 seconds later you have the app installed and it's ready to use, whether that's like a streaming app or a game-specific app for, say, DayZ or for Battlefield or for Minecraft or whatever it could be. It's very easy for a developer to go about creating an app. In its simplest form, an app in Overwolf is or could be characterized or is characterized as a single-page web application. So all you need to really know in terms of coding skills to create an app for Overwolf is HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, and you can build an app for any game you like. And your app could be, whatever you want it to be. I'm going to look at some examples for apps. Now, I want to kind of go a little bit more into how Overwolf provides some of these other success factors that I've kind of gone into with World of Warcraft, and I want to show you something here. So, one of the things that we do is we provide broad support, or we gather broad support among developers and game publishers. And one of the things that we do, for example, is these app developer challenges, where we go out and we partner with, say, a game publisher or a service provider, and we host an app developer challenge. People go about creating those apps. There are cash prizes, and it's basically how we go about establishing this platform. I mean, we're a startup company. We're very new in this space. We've been around since 2004, which sounds since 2010, which sounds like a couple of years. But building something like this actually takes a lot of time. Getting the support from game developers wasn't easy initially, and I think we've gotten to that point. As far as matchmaking is concerned, I'm going to go back one slide here. The App Store, that's what provides the matchmaking. That provides the magnet. That provides the gravity. The apps themselves act as a magnet. If you're a gamer and you are, you're a hardcore gamer, you're looking at, okay, how can I get better at playing League of Legends? League of Legends is it's a competitive game. Esports, if you guys are familiar with them, you probably are. It's a very big game in the esports scene. So is Smite and several others. And in competitive gaming, any kind of assistance that you can get is greatly appreciated by gamers. Also, we're seeing a lot of activity in these what they call Let's Play channels on YouTube, Twitch, another big element or in this gaming ecosystem for streamers. And there are other companies that are going into that. With Google, essentially, after they failed to acquire Twitch and Amazon kind of bought them for $1 billion, and Google didn't get a turn, they're building their own. And it's a huge business. So we provide like an easy to use tool for anybody to stream their gameplay, to record your gameplay, post it on YouTube, post it on Facebook, and we provide apps that allow you to play better, to engage with other gamers in more interesting ways. I'm going to show you some of those examples in a second. So I'm going to jump to the next one here. This is another example of audience engagement and how we basically build that broad support with the community and with the game publishers and the app developers by hosting events jointly with game publishers that use some of the tools that we provide, some of the apps that we provide. Now, on this screen here, you can see some of the apps. You would never look at a screen like this in this form. It's just like fully packed with apps. But you see there where that Overwolf logo is, that's actually your desktop application. That's what you have on your desktop. You hover over it. It's kind of like disappears a little bit on the side, and it's just a little sickle that's kind of like sticking on the side of your screen. And when you hover over it, it pops out, and it makes some of the core functionality that we provide available instantly. Like on top, you see the multi-IM chat tool. Right below that, there's a browser tool. Then the video capture, that little box, that's the App Store. And below that, that's an app for TeamSpeak. TeamSpeak is it's a communication tool for hardcore gamers. I don't know if you guys are hardcore gamers or not, but you might be familiar with it. What you're looking at on the screen here is basically a couple of different apps. There is at the bottom the Twitch app. That's only one component of the Twitch streaming app. But the Twitch streaming app you find on Overwolf, if you're inclined to do so, try it out. It's all you really need to start a career as a streamer on YouTube, and you can just quit your job and be an awesome streamer, as some people do. Actually, I know some streamers. They make like ridiculous amounts of money. Like, you know, it's crazy. What else do we have up there? There's the video capture tool. The video capture tool, like our browser and the IM tool, we aim to provide as a core functionality, whatever we choose to do as a core functionality, the browser, the video capture, and all that. We want that to be really the best possible tool, the best in class. And I think that, you know, in some ways we're already there, in some ways we're not. But we're actually currently working on a deep integration with NVIDIA. And when that is done, which will be like in like 2 months or so, our video capture tool will be the best video capture tool that's out there, as long as you use an NVIDIA graphics card. Other tools like that one right in the middle, that's a really interesting one because it shows a little bit about how apps fit into this gaming environment. It's an app called LolWiz. We didn't create it. It was created by a team of developers, and they teamed up with a esports team called Cloud9. Cloud9 is probably one of the leading esports team management companies, I guess you call that. They own or manage several teams. They just acquired the team that won the Smite World Championship Series, Cog Prime, I think. Yes, Cog Prime. But this is an app for League of Legends. And what Cloud9 did, and the developer, they teamed up and they said, okay, this app provides historic stats for your champion's build order, how each champion or how a player plays a champion in this game. It provides historic data and lets you as a player, I mean, if you play League of Legends, you understand this. If you don't, then it's kind of like a little bit abstract. But it lets you as a player figure out a way to beat that other guy by looking at how they have historically played in that champion role. That data is available, which means that it's not cheating. It's not like you have an unfair advantage. It's just that this app aggregates this information in a way that makes it easily accessible in the game. And that's what apps in the hardcore gaming space are really all about, making stuff that's otherwise already available, like information that is available. A lot of this stuff is available on websites. You can pull a lot of that stuff from the Open Game API. But this app makes it available in-game. You start the game, the app launches, and it shows you this is what your opponents are doing when they play this champion, and you can counter. You can basically follow a strategy of countering what they're most likely going to do. Of course, there's no guarantee that they will do that, and you can just, it's still a game that you're still. There's no guarantee that this is what's going to happen, but that's just what they've done historically. So how did these two guys match up, Cloud9 and the app developer? Well, the Cloud9 League of Legends team uses this app in their streams and in their videos that they post on YouTube on their Let's Play channel. They are able to bring their name into it, and they bring in their sponsors, and they sell the sponsorships. They sell these placements or ad placements, so to speak, to their own sponsors in the app, and they share that revenue with the app developer. So that's how this app really came about. To the right of that, you see a bunch of faces. That's an app called Live Rounds. Live Rounds is an interesting app because it's, for the first time, brings video chat into the game, especially in games where you have like 5 versus 5, like all these MOBA games, or a lot of the MOBA games, where you have 5 versus 5. You already know your teammates, but you might be sitting in different parts of the world, different parts of the city or the country or whatever, and you can just chat with all your friends with video and voice in the game. It's something that hasn't been there before. Curse, another company that creates apps for hardcore games and hardcore gamers, has a software called Curse Voice, but it really only does voice, as the name implies. With this application, you get the voice and the face. It's very lightweight, so all of this stuff is very lightweight, which might be a concern if you're a gamer, or it might be a concern if you're a game publisher, because the games itself already absorb pretty much all your GPU and CPU, and there's really very little room to run other stuff. But while this is a concern, that's actually the reason why our software, our platform, and our apps, or not just our apps, but any app that runs on Overwolf, is so useful, because it actually lowers what you have to have running on your PC at any point in time. Well, while you might be able to look up some of this information on some website, or might be doing some research while you play the game, for example, for LOLWiz, you would have to tab in and tab out, or you have to have a second monitor running, or stuff like that, which is not ideal as far as the user experience is concerned. Now, live rounds, just one last word about that. It was built by a company called Rounds, and to, I guess, kind of underscore the relevance of this market, I want to mention that that company actually just closed a funding round for $12 million, which was led by Sequoia Capital, which is one of the leading VCs in Silicon Valley. And then at the bottom, there's an app that's called Control Z. We called it Control Z, or the app developer called it Control Z, because it essentially brings all of ZAM Network's functionality into the game. ZAM Networks, like I said initially, is a series of websites. They're owned by Tencent, and they basically bring all their functionality into any game. So you play, say, World of Warcraft, or League of Legends, or EverQuest 2. The app already recognizes which game you're playing. You hit Control Z, the app pops up, and you put in your query what you're looking for the game, and it basically pulls that from the ZAM database. All right. How are we doing on time? Getting close, yeah. All right. So the strategy, what is Overwolf doing? Well, basically, we're providing an apps platform for everyone: gamers, game publishers, game developers, app developers. There are other platforms out there. Every big, large game publisher is creating a platform, but they're all kind of like closed systems. And with the exception of Steam, none of these are, my prediction, are going to go really very far. What we're about to do, what we haven't done yet. I think my phone is in the same pocket as the. That's not. Yeah, that was a big mistake. What we haven't done yet is we haven't really provided a clear path to monetizing your apps if you've built an app, and we're going to provide that in the next 3 months. We're allowing app developers to charge for their apps. So if you're interested in building an app for a game, you can put it into our store. You can charge $1.99 or $9, or you can basically add a subscription fee to it. And if it's a valuable app, which we hope that it is, gamers will download it and use it, and you can earn a living. Why is this important? It's part of building a self-sustaining apps ecosystem, allowing every party to really get the benefit that they deserve, and encouraging more people to create more awesome apps. Right now, all the apps are free, and we're fortunate enough to work in a space where, basically similar to what's happening at World of Warcraft, so many dedicated people, so many fans who just do all this stuff for free. But it doesn't have to be free. People are willing to pay for it. And to give you guys an example of how much they are willing to pay for it, I just put this in here from Newzoo, which gives you an idea of the global games market. The market for hardcore games, which is really a market that hasn't gotten as much attention as the social gaming market, what was a couple of years ago with Zynga on Facebook, and now the mobile and tablet games market. That's hot. That's where everyone's putting their money. That's what's interesting, and everyone's talking about that. But the reality is the hardcore PC gaming market is basically as big as the tablet and smartphone market in total globally. And it's growing overall about 8% per year. And if you look at the total market size, it's a very interesting and appealing market. And if you consider the fact that the apps market in this segment of the games industry is essentially non-existent as far as monetization is concerned, I consider it a very large opportunity. And I'm hoping that even though this was very much rushed and a very quick overview, I'm hoping that maybe some of you guys will consider building an app, maybe just look at this market a little bit more closely, and just generally be interested in following the market for apps in the hardcore gaming space. Now, I think I probably missed out on mentioning a couple of things because, like I said, this was kind of rushed. Just to summarize, it's not a new concept. It's been around since World of Warcraft was launched. It's a very fast-growing market, and it's the early days for the apps in the hardcore gaming space market. So I would be really excited if at least if one of you guys here were to go and say, you know what, this is really interesting, let me check it out, and someone decides to go and create an app, I would say this would be really exciting. But maybe for the most part, it would be already cool if I was able to raise some awareness that this is a market that exists, because it's very large and it's definitely going to get only bigger from where we are today. I mentioned app developer challenges earlier. Some of the app developer challenges that we have coming up, and we just launched one with Twitch last week, but some of the ones that are coming up are with NVIDIA, which is going to be very large because almost everyone has an NVIDIA graphics card. Wargaming, which is one of the biggest games out there after League of Legends and Minecraft, and a bunch of others. So if you're playing hardcore games, this is definitely something you should follow. Yeah, I hope this was at least somewhat interesting for anyone. Is there any questions?
I think we have time for one question. I for one, am very interested. I didn't even know about this whole world coming from the casual space. So my mind is sort of blown that this market exists, that it's as big as it is. So I think you did a good job of opening some eyes here. Does anyone have a question? We have a few. We can make them quick. We'll do two.
As you said, a lot of hardcore gamers use apps and things like that, but as far as I know, they also play on World Series tournaments and stuff like that. Do you expect that they'll ever be able to use those on a tournament? No.
No. Well, it depends, right? So, for example, it depends. Curse Voice was used in the Smite tournament, but I do not foresee that these apps will ever be able to. They will never be used in tournaments because, well, who knows? I mean, I don't want. Probably shouldn't say never. I shouldn't speak in absolute terms, but at least for now, it's a no-go. Especially with a game like League of Legends. With League of Legends, you have Riot Games. They look very closely at what you do, and so we work very closely with the third-party developer team to get everything approved. Every app that goes out for League of Legends, we want to make sure it's approved. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so thank you very much, Fabian. It's great presentation. We're just going to do one question because we're out of time and we got to move on here. So thank you so much, everyone. Fabian.
Thank you.